Thank you very much, everybody, and welcome to this third session in the IRPA and Finance workshop series. So today's agenda, we'll look at why RPA is important to your organisation. We'll look at some of the use cases and success stories, and we'll also look at a intelligent finance automation demo. So let me just talk a little bit about why SAP IRPA and why IRPA is so important to a lot of our customers today. And this particular situation here is not uncommon, even in today's environment. We're still doing a lot of our tasks manually. We're still spending a lot of time after hours reconciling and, preparing reports, etc., that shouldn't be taking up so much of our personal time in that sense. And this is still a very, very common scenario. Where I'd like to be able to think that, as a community and as people, is to sort of really think about, well, if I had some extra time back in my day, what would I be able to do? And here is a great shot of somebody reaching out to, to express their feelings around, freedom. I'm away from the desk. I can actually, go and spend some time doing things that I want to do on weekends rather than working on spreadsheets or working on lots of things that require heavy manual processes. So to that extent, some of the analysts have said that through automation, we can further improve the productivity by about 19 or 19.2%. So that's a figure that's come from Hackett back in 2019. So I'm assuming that that's going to be a lot higher today in that sense. So Gartner came out with a really good KPI where they're saying, at this particular point in time, 80% of shared service environments are using some sort of RPA today, or robotics process automation today. So that's telling you, giving some really good information around where the future is heading in that regard. And I wanted to talk to you just quickly before I hand over to Hemant. Why is this so important? And you can see here on the left-hand side, as we go through the years, that we spent a lot of time doing manual tasks, repetitive tasks, and we had very little automation ability to automate things back in the the 60s and the 80s, and I can really testify to that. I used to be that person, spending weekends slaving over books and adding up things manually and doing all sorts of reconciliations and stuff like that. So I know exactly where we've come from. But as you can see, as we move through the eras or through the years, the availability of automation and the adoption of automation is going to and has reflected in the amount of time that we spend, or lack of time, or less time we spend on manual tasks, and the more time that we can spend on high value tasks. And that really means adding real value to the organization, becoming that trusted advisor, and actually making some contribution to sustainability. Sustainability in the sense that people will want to come along and stay and work for your organization rather than burn them out at the age of 30, 35, whatever. You can see this is where it's becoming a lot more of an automation focus and becoming more of that intelligent and trusted advisor. So that's something that we're seeing every single day, and as I said, I can attest to that. Let me hand over now to Hemant and Vichien, who are going to take us through some of the real success stories from Round 2 Solutions, who can testify to real value being driven through the use of IRPA. Over to you, Hemant and Vichien. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Okay,
Hello, Vichien. It is a pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you. Thanks. And I think we'll keep the session interactive and let us go through some of the use cases and success stories which Round 2 Solutions, one of our esteemed partner from Thailand, has achieved utilizing the SAP Intelligent RPA capability. So, Vichien, before we start, would you like to give us some introduction about the Round 2 Solutions as a company?
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. Just 5 minutes about Round 2 Solutions. We are a SAP partner. We are based in Bangkok, Thailand, and we have been practicing business consulting, technical consulting with SAP-based solutions since 2014. We have vast customers in many different industries, from retail, consumer goods, manufacturers, oil and gas, real estates, and a lot of businesses that we have been supporting. And 90% of our customers are listed company, both in Bangkok, Thailand companies, and in the region. So, and 2020, we have been awarded as SAP fastest growing partners in Indochina on that part. A little bit about SAP RPA practice. We jumped onto SAP RPA practice and started the service late 2019, around in September. So it has been, frankly speaking, it has been a game changer for SAP solution platform. Why? I explain a bit more. Our practice today, up to date, we have been working with a lot of clients, both in Thailand and in the region, up to about now 8 countries that we have footprints with the various projects that we have been doing, both on the design and implementation of corporate standards, doing the process improvement and company policy design. And we're doing a lot of review and improvement of the solution templates for a lot of customers. And we're doing a lot of business consulting on the digital strategy development. And of course, on the technical development, we have been implementing SAP ERP, business planning and consolidation, data warehouse, and also, of course, the RPA. And a lot of other services that we have been doing to our clients. So when I mentioned about SAP IRPA being a game changer, if you look at the SAP ERP implementation that a lot of people now be familiar with, when we combined with analytic, meaning that the topic of grabbing the data from SAP systems and then try to make use of it, one of the very important topic is the quality of data and the speed, the up-to-date, the real-time, the way that people input the data into the systems. When we combine that with the RPA, robotic process automation, then the speed of the data input, the quality of the data accuracy is highly increased. Also, the automation of ERP itself. So that means ever since 2019 up until now, in all our SAP implementation, we combine these 3 topics together. And a lot of customers now end up having ERP that is automated, reduce, depend less on the human, and then enable with the data driven, making more use of the data itself in the systems. So that is where SAP IRPA comes into a lot of focus. Because see, you have the practice of the ERP and the robotic process automation that understands completely and know completely and integrate very effectively with the ERP itself. So that is actually the big benefit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, when the RPA is in place with the SAP ERP, integrating data from a lot of other sources, integrating data from the frontline system like CRM, for example, integrating data from the service system, it's possible and it made simple. So this is really really big focus of us now and a lot of focus of our clients. For example, when we started 2019 with the RPA implementation, a lot of customers that started at that year actually can take use of the benefit when the COVID hit in 2020. They depend less on the people, they automate the process way in advance. And that really proven that when you think ahead and optimize your process, that actually return to your benefit very good. Okay, that is actually a quick introduction of our practice and services and where actually initially how SAP IRPA comes into play. So now, Heyman, let's jump to the next page, and let's start about the success stories, the real stories, how we implemented,
So,
how the business
yeah.
actually use it. Okay.
Yeah, before we jump onto the success stories, yeah, Vichien, I think you touched upon a really important point, like where you have implemented in multiple industries, LOBs. So
Yeah.
from the today's topic perspective, which is around the use of RPA in financial reporting, reconciliation, and financial planning. So maybe while you touch upon the success story, can you also give us some of the top use cases which you have come across and implemented around the reporting, reconciliation, etc.?
Okay, focusing on the financial topic, number one that really comes up on top of our clients every time, data reconciliations. When you want to validate data from different sources, when you want to really ensure that data coming in from one database comes into before going to SAP, how you can validate and make sure that data is correctly input into the SAP and store and process in SAP. Before that, you need to hire, or you need to have an admin or a team to really look and compare the data by themselves. But now that the bot can do it. It can go through the data from different websites, for example, and then read through it, and then pause it, and then save it in the SAP, and then do a validation before it process further. If it can see that there are some difference, it can stop and then tell people where is the difference. That is one use case that we always do. Updating data from outside source, for example, the currency exchange rate, for example, from a different website authorities, used to be the job of a lot of administrative people. Now it has been done with the bot. Or even a simple process that also financial people involved is, for example, the physical count. When the manufacturing, if you have a factory, if you have a warehouse, once a quarter or once a year, you have to go into the warehouse and then do a physical count and reconcile with the SAP. We have actually a success case on that a lot when the bot can really compare the physical data that the people now just count with the SAP report and then identify what are the differences, how many, how much of the differences, and reduce tremendously the human effort on that part.
Yeah, great. I think thanks. Let us jump to some of the success stories maybe you would like to share with us today.
Okay, let's say the first one. This is the client kindly approved for us to have this referred to publicly. This is one of the largest manufacturer of packaging, glass packaging containers in Thailand. The company is called Bank of Glass. So this is one of the first clients that we work with in terms of the RPA solutions. So in short, we developed a lot of process that we automated with the RPA solution for Bank of Glass, both simple and a complex one. Complex ones, for example, when you have intercompany transactions, when you have a transaction between different companies within your groups, with the Bank of Glass, one company is using SAP S4 ERP, the other company is using different ERP. And before RPA comes, they have to maintain teams to really, post the transactions and then interact with each other. But today we can use the bot, just one bot, to work with SAP systems, log on, and then log on again to another ERP, and then do interaction within itself. That's actually one of the first case we did with Bank of Glass. And many other process, for example, the physical count that I just told you, they also got a lot of benefit from that the bot can automatically compare numbers between counts and the number in the systems. You can see that the figures that we have, we went back to Bank of Glass after they adopted the processes, and then we did a study to see what are the benefits. And in short, is that they can reduce 75% of the human consumptions in terms of the effort. And a lot of process has been developed, tested, and trained people to use, and then deployed in quite a short period, let's say about 4 weeks, in a lot of those process. So with this, you can see that it's a quick implementation. You can realize the benefit right away when you deployed it, because it starts doing jobs that people are supposed to do. So you can start counting that kind of benefit financially also from day one.
Yeah, you just touched upon one use case about intra-company transfer, and you touched upon like SAP Intelligent RPA working on
Mhm.
SAP S4 HANA and a non-SAP ERP as well, right?
Mhm.
So many a times we get this question from our customers and partners alike, like, can SAP Intelligent RPA work with SAP and non-SAP applications, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So maybe from your experience, if you have some studies where you would like to focus on that, how
Yeah.
to utilize the same tool for non-SAP
Ah,
application automation as well. Yeah.
that's a great question, and that's actually the question that a lot of our clients also ask. It's being called SAP IRPA. Does it only work with SAP? Well, the big benefit, first of all, is that SAP IRPA works very, very well, almost seamlessly with SAP ERP. The process inside SAP ERP itself, a lot of them has now plug-in. So you can connect to SAP ERP and make it automate right away. A lot of that is a big benefit. But SAP ERP also work with other systems. We have clients, and they are also showcased later in the later slides, that we have clients that actually have no SAP ERP. They're using different ERP. They have also other applications. They have Office, they have websites, but now they are using SAP IRPA to automate those processes. And that's actually one of the big benefit case that we'll talk about it later on. But yes, it does work with any solutions as long as it runs on PC. Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so that is actually the first case. We have a lot of processes coming in with different industries as well. Let's go on to the next slide then. No? So yes, another of our clients is one of the leading retail chain in Thailand. And the one that I wanted to highlight about this case, let's say the simple process being that the SAP IRPA, being the bot, can grab the data from different websites for the B2B platform, from various websites, and then do the documents, do the process in the SAP ERP. Before this, they usually have to maintain people to really log on to different kind of systems and then get the data, export the data, save into file, and then log on to SAP again to do things. But now with this process being automated with the SAP ERP, they can have the people doing some other meaningful work. And the repetitive tasks like this can be done with the SAP ERP. The one that I want to highlight with this is that, of course, for the financial parts, like I mentioned earlier, they have to have a people to really log on to the BOT's Bank of Thailand to grab the data from these authorities and then update it, synchronize it with SAP. If they want to connect, integrate the system, of course they can technically, but you have to maintain a lot of technical parts, programming, integrations, and then this and that a lot. And once in a while, when Bank of Thailand websites being updated or adjust, they have to maintain those programming again. But with IRPA, it knows when the Bank of Thailand changed their website. It can follow the button, it can follow the fields without having to reprogram it a lot. So that actually works quite nicely. And another thing I wanted to highlight about this is that within this client, within this kind of process, these are the only 5 bots that we started them on. But we also deliver also the training to the end users. So that end user of this client, end user meaning financial people, sales people, or people who work actually in their business, they learn and they can create and maintain bots by themselves. It is that friendly. The SAP RPA, you can do it drag and drop. You can do it no code or low code. Or if you want a comprehensive process like intercompany, like I told you before, then you can also do programming. So it's quite nice in the sense that there are various level of people who can use it.
Yeah. So Vichien, you touched upon, I think, a right point around the low code, no code framework and how easy it is for the citizen developers to develop the bots using RPA. What's the typical, what you have seen, like in terms of the ROI for the businesses? How quickly they can realize the ROI using the SAP Intelligent RPA?
Okay, when you compare that, let's say that the process that takes us 4 to 6 weeks implemented for the bot process. But if you once you deploy it after the 6th week, at the 6th week when you deployed it, Then people who are actually doing that process by their hands, they can do some other jobs right away. So there are how I start right away when you start doing that. Compared to other systems that maybe, okay, you have a platform, you have CRM platform, or you have analytic platform, but you have to think about the return of investment. You have to see if your sales increase, if your cost decrease or whatever. But for the RPA, it starts from day one because it replaces human effort right away. So the ROI is quite, I would say, easy to realize. You can see right away whether it's working, how many transactions it processes. And by the way, there's no limit on how many transactions the bot process with SAP IRPA. You can have it run 24 hours.
Great. Thanks. Yeah, let us look at some more interesting case studies which you got. Yeah.
Okay. This one also made simple by RPA. It used to be a bit more challenging before, but with SAP RPA, it's now made simple and quick. And you can see a lot of these use case later on. The manufacturing company who do consumer goods, they sell a lot, for example, to modern trade. They sell a lot to large customers. They talk about having to integrate the data to automate the sales order process. They used to be talking about how to connect my system to the client system and maintain that kind of electronic documents or whatever. But now with the new way of thinking, with the help of IRPA, we don't have to connect that pipe. We don't need to connect that. We use the bot to do it. So various clients can send PDFs, can send Excels or whatever, through email. And then the bot can grab those files from email and start creating sales order right away. So we gone over the limit of having to connect system technically. Now we're using the bot to read emails, to extract out the attachments and do the SAP process. So that is also a quick realization, and that also reduce a lot of effort. We talked before about having to do it technically. Okay, you can see again about the exchange rate from the Bank of Thailand. That's a quick win. And they can do also a production planning. All those production planning, when you get first, we get the order coming into your RPA, you can see the capacity. We can now maintain it on Excel. The bot can just grab the file and read it and do a calculation of how they want to plan the production easily. So that is also interesting use case. A lot of people who actually have to input the data now being the bot can help them input the data. Like I mentioned earlier, that it speed up data input and ensure the quality. Yeah. Okay, that also another interesting use case. Okay, so let's see a bit more. They have a few more. So this is actually the real estate customers. Like I said, when you want to connect the system like outside the web-based applications, you can do the database integration, meaning that the bot can integrate database of the systems and then connect to the database of SAP. That is a big advantage of SAP IRPA, that it knows the system inside SAP quite well up to the database level. So it can grab and then connect right away the direct integration, or it can go into the website, extract the data from this website into Excel, and then upload the Excel to SAP, just like a people would do. That is actually also a quick win, realize benefit quite fast and well as well. And many other processes like checking the payment, reconcile from the website. It can also see, second is that after it checked the payment from website, the bot goes into another system. It's not SAP, it's a web-based application, and post and verify data instead of people. And the bot also log on to SAP to process payment. So this also proven that it can go to multiple systems. It's not only the SAP ERP parts. And then reading email, getting the purchase requisitions, validate it first, whether it's approved, it should be approved further or not, and it go create PO in the system for people. So this is also a quick implementation, 6 to 8 weeks, and then we can deploy it right away.
Yeah.
Well, this is a bit the same for the automotive parts. You can see that for manufacturing, you see that the same process that SAP ERP know very well in SAP about MRP. It can process, check the stock, create production order, run the MRP for the people, validate various kind of sales order, and do the outbound delivery instead of people. So with this, a lot of this process used to be done by people. You have to train people to do it. And when you have the turnover of your employees, you have to retrain people again. But for the bot, it runs automatically. The one I wanted to show and then talk about is this. So this is actually an entertainment business. The client of us, they have many different cinema and retail. Then you know that in this kind of business, you have a lot of channel for the payment gateway. There are multiple ways for you to purchase ticket and pay. So our client, they have about 30 payment channels. You can pay them using the website or the counter or whatever, but at the end they have about 30 plus payment channels. They usually have to maintain the team of about 16 people to monitor and reconcile those different channels, and then consolidate data and then post into their ERP. But with this, it's about 8 weeks implementation, including training. The bot can run just one bot, log on to 30 different channels, grab the data, validate it, consolidate it, and then post it, reconcile to the ERP. And for this particular client, it's not even SAP ERP. All of this, the only thing SAP is the bot. So that works very well. And you can, if you understand it quickly, you can realize the financial benefit and the business benefit very quickly from day one of the deployments. The 16 people that can go and do some more value-added tasks. This is actually a big vision of SAP when you grab the people who are actually doing repetitive tasks, and you have to retrain this kind of positions every year or whatnot. But these repetitive tasks, people don't have to do anymore. They do more value-added, like analyze data, do more tasks like the one that they have to use creativity of the human more. But the repetitive tasks, they can use bot instead.
Yeah, I think these are really great stories, Vichien. I think in the interest of time, I would like to ask one last question before we jump on to the Komati's presentation. So we have seen that great stories around different industries, realizing quickly the ROI, utilizing the SAP Intelligent RPA as a technology. But what is your view on the future of automation? Maybe would you like to give a minute thoughts around what's your view on the future of automation and how RPA fits in that future?
I think two topics that's actually a big game changer in terms of SAP IRPA from now and in the future. Two really great topics. One is of course the automation of the process itself. You don't have people to do a lot of simple and repetitive process anymore. You reduce less and less on the people, and you allow those people to develop their creativities. So in terms of the human resource development, in terms of the people growing in their line of work, that is actually a big opening, help with the SAP RPA. The second part now is the integration. If you think about having the bot, not just the automate process, but the bot allow you to grab data and interact between systems. You don't have to maintain that technical pipe anymore. You use the bot to actually integrate SAP with various systems. Imagine chat. We have a lot of clients implementing ERPs S4 and now allow to chat between their mobile with SAP S4 to grab the data and process the data. Integration made fast, possible, and more effective with SAP IRPA. That's a new way of thinking. So automation and integration is a big two things that really now leapfrogged with the SAP IRPA. Okay. Yep. I think the one last slide, being the financial topics. We talk about the clients. This is actually another work that we are doing with the clients. If you have different source data, if you have data warehouse, a lot of finance people now, financial companies, they have data warehouse. If you have analytic, the bot can be everywhere. Help operation team to process the data, help the trigger automation of data loading and validations, whether data comes here correctly or not. Helps you read the report. You don't have to refresh the report by yourself anymore. The bot refresh the report for you. identify interesting figures for you, and then alert you via the email. So this also made possible with SAP IRPA in terms of this reporting platforms. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kun Vichien. Again, it is pleasure to have you here today. And maybe we will have some questions from the audience. Please type your questions in the chat bot, and we will take it up at the end of the session. Now I'll request my colleague Komati to take us through some SAP related use cases in planning, reconciliation, and reporting. Komati, over to you.
Okay, so first of all, thank you everyone for joining us today. So I'm Komati and I'm a product manager for SAP S4HANA and RPA, with primary focus on finance. Today, I will be showing you the various automation use cases in planning, reconciliation, and reporting in finance. Okay, so financial planning is a very important aspect for any organizations to achieve their strategic goals. And it mainly involves 4 steps. One, staging of the data, performing the planning, and then exporting the planning data back to the ERP system. So in this case, it's the S4 system. And finally, the experts can derive various insights out of the plan and actual data, like for example, the cost center plan versus actual, or the project plan versus actual, and so on. So in this case, let's consider a customer who is running S4HANA Cloud along with any planning application. So here a custom bot can be built, which would help in importing the actual financial data from the S4 system onto the planning system. And then the actual data will be used to prepare the plan data. And once the planning is completed in the planning application, in S4, we have certain standard Excel templates for each of these planning processes, using which this bot can convert the data into these file formats and upload it into the S4HANA system. So once this is done, like I mentioned before, the final stages based on the plan and actuals, the plan and actual report can be derived for each of these aspects. So this is in the case of financial planning for a customer who is using any planning application. But they can also be a customer who are adopting the SAP strategic planning application, that is SAP Analytics Cloud. So SAP Analytics Cloud is fully integrated with both S4HANA Cloud and on-premise. The integration details are embedded here in the link. So how this works is it enables the integrated financial planning and budgeting processes. And in order to exchange the data between SAC and S4HANA Cloud and on-premise, it connects to the OData services in S4. So the customer's financial planning functionality is a predefined integrated content that is provided along with the demo data, and customers can quickly jumpstart their implementation or their planning. So here it pretty much works similar to the slide that we seen earlier. Here the only difference is the import and export of the data, that is the planning, importing the planning data into the S4 system and exporting the actual to the planning application, that is SAC, is automated using the OData service. So that is about the financial planning with SAC. It, like I mentioned, all these processes are supported, and using the plan and actual data, you can again derive various insights using the standard reports that is available in the S4 systems. So let me move on to the next topic for today, that is the reconciliation automation in finance. So again, this process starts with the posting of a customer invoice, and then there is a bot to download the customer line items and share it with the AR department to give a high level visibility on the open customer items. And then as part of the daily cash operations, the bank statement files, which would be in the mailbox of the cash specialist, would be extracted and imported into the S4 system. We also have a standard bot to import the payment advices, which is again an optional step, but it will give a better matching of the invoices and the payments. And then we have an S4 standard in SAP, in S4, we have a standard inbuilt matching framework based on which, say, 80% matching would be done. But still, there can be some exceptions owing to the fact that there could be a lump sum payment, missing payment information, discounts, and so on. So in this case, SAP's machine learning cache application would be the go-to application for handling the exceptions. This would further help in eliminating all these exceptions. So for customers, so these are the processes, that is step 3, 4, and 5 are the processes for customer who are performing reconciliation with EBS. For customers who do not have EBS, they can directly post the incoming statements against the open customer line items into the system. So finally, out of these steps, all these are supported by the standard functionalities like SAP Cache application or standard bots in case of the other steps. So parallelly, the customers can also have certain custom bots built. One, to send alerts to the customer in case of payment dues. Two, to check the overdue payments and notify the finance department. And finally, we can also have a custom bot to extract the cash position and then prepare a customized report that can be shared with the various stakeholders after the bank statements are imported and reconciled. So one more step that we can consider here is the reconciliation bot. So this is in case of the S4 customers, but they could also be certain customers who are still on ECC and are not using the standard functionality. In order to cater to such customized requirements, they can also leverage the reconciliation bot, which would help them in downloading the bank statement from the portal and then converting it to the required format and then uploading this bank statement into the system and then preparing the reconciliation report, getting it signed, and finally closure. So for customers who are not using the standard process, they can leverage this particular bot. So let us quickly see a demo on how to import the bank statement files into the system, S4 system. So here, let us consider a persona whose daily job is to receive the bank statement files and upload it into the S4 system. So here, as you can see in the mailbox, there are 2 bank statement files that are in the status of unread and are in the test folder in the Outlook. So once the bot is triggered, so here you can enter the standard details like, so this has 2 variants. One, you can either download the bank statement files directly from the Outlook and post it into the system, or you can keep it in your shared folder and run the bot from there on. So here I'm going to show an end-to-end process. So you enter the source file, and then you also give the inbox subfolder. In this case, it is test folder, and then the email search term, that is bank, and then the S4HANA Cloud System URL. And finally, once the bot is executed, the report can be placed in this root folder, and 2, it can also be placed in sent to the email IDs here. And then you click on run. So for the sake of the demo, I have taken 2 bank statement files. One will be a success one. The other one will show you how to handle the exceptions. So now it has opened the Manage Incoming Payment Files app, and it had already downloaded the files into the local folder. Now it is importing those files into the S4 system. So like I mentioned, the first file is a success case. As you can see, the message is displayed here. So the log is also displayed here, but parallelly, once the execution report is completed, you can also see the log in the report itself. So now this is the case of the second file, which is an erroneous file. Okay, so now the bot has completed uploading both the files into the system. So this is the success message. So while the bot is running, you can also parallelly track the job log in the Cloud Factory. So the report, that is the final execution report, is being sent to the specified mail ID. And here you have various details like the timestamp and system details. And here you can see the status of the two files, the first one being the success, the second one, like I mentioned, it was with an error. So the various document numbers posted and any information messages are documented here. And for the second part, the error, that is the root cause of the error, is also updated in this report. So further, the user can further correct the file and upload it back into the system. So with this, we have covered the bank statement files, that is uploading the bank statement files into the S4 system. Now, like I mentioned, we also support the payment advice, that is importing the payment advice into the S4 system for the better matching. So let us quickly see a demo for the same. So here we have something called as a payment advice company info. So what it means is we have certain company codes, and against the company codes, we have the mail ID. So today's, let's consider company code 1010, and the tag mail ID is aliciahu@sap.com. So what this means is all the payment advices that is being received from this particular mail ID will have to be posted to this company code. So this is the configuration that will have to be, that has to be included or imported in while you're running the bot. So once this file is prepared, and I would say this is a one-time activity. So here you can see the two payment advices in the mailbox. So again, here there are two steps involved. One, you will import the payment advice into your local folder and then upload it into the system from your local folder. Yeah, like I mentioned here, so yeah, the payment advice was placed in the local folder. So from here, it will be uploaded into the system. So the second step, that is manage payment advice. So in the first step, we imported both the company configuration info and the payment advice into the local folder. So here, what we are specifying is the root folder from where the payment advice has to be uploaded into the system, and then the S4 system URL, and finally the report, the paths to save the report, and the mail IDs that has to be notified. So once all the parameters are set, the bot will open the app manage payment advice and start importing the payment advices that are present in the root folder. So these are the two payment advices that we received via mail today, and both are imported into the system. So this is an UI based bot, and it is supported for S4 on-prem as well as cloud. So here, the bot is trying to search the payment advice that was just posted into the system. Yeah, so now both the payment advices are successfully posted into the system. Now let's quickly see the execution report. Yeah, this is the success message, and finally let's see the report. Yeah, so both the payment advices are successfully posted into the system. So that is about the manage payment advices app. Okay, let's move on to the, so the report is also placed into the local folder. So now let's move on to the last topic for the day, that is the reporting automation in finance. So based on the persona like GL accountant or AP accountant or AR accountant, we have various reports, standing reporting bots that's available in bot store. For example, we have GL line item display for GL accountant, similarly supplier line item and customer line item for AP and AR accountants respectively. And additionally, we also in S4 supports embedded daily reporting like the cash flow analyzer or the foreign exchange overview, and it also supports dashboard reporting like the asset accounting overview page or GL accountant overview page, etc. And also we have certain executive reportings. So while I say that these are the standard bots that is available in the bots too, what we can do is we can also build custom bots for any of these reports that is available in the S4 system. And then we can also have a trigger that would download this report and share it with the various stakeholders on a specified schedule. So let us quickly see a demo on list of customer line items. So till now we have seen demos on the S4HANA cloud systems. So now let us quickly see a demo on the ECC system. So here in this sheet, we are going to specify the various parameters like the company code and the customers for which we need to download the report. So we are going to download it for company at a company code level. And this is a scheduled bot. So while the bot is running, you can also track the status or track the job in the monitoring tab of the Cloud Factory or the Cloud Tenant. So what the bot does is it will open the FDL5N, that is the standard report to display the customer line items. And then it will generate a report for the specified company codes. So like I mentioned, we are generating the report at a company code level. So yeah, so the report is now generated. So what it will do now is it will download it into an Excel file and give us the path to the Excel file. But it can further be extended or it can be further customized to share these reports with the particular stakeholders via email. Yeah, so you are specifying the file path where you want to generate the report. So this is the standard ECC functionality that has been leveraged to build this bot. Yeah, so the data is now downloaded and placed in this folder. Yeah. So this is the report. So like I mentioned, it can further be extended to share it with the relevant stakeholders. So that's about the reporting bot. Similarly, we have bots for pretty much similar functionalities like GL account line item and supplier line item. So
Sure. Thank you very much, Komati.
So let's have a look at the questions in the chat.
What are the ML models available, and is it as part of a package solution or is a separate license required?
Yeah, so I think ML packages which are part of the, so in terms of the SAP Intelligent RPA, you can utilize the ML model which are available with a cache application, which is based on the ML. That's a separate application, which is an add-on. As a business, you need to subscribe to the cache application to get that ML based capability. In addition, you can always have AIML created using SAP BTP as a SAP business technology platform and consume those AIML model with RPA easily. So you can integrate those AIML capability into the RPA with simplicity and ease. I think we can take up the next question. which we have.
For the PDF files, is it only uploading the file to SAP or extracting the data from the PDF and then uploading?
So,
Okay,
Omati, would you like to take this?
yeah, sure, Hemant. So the demo that we have seen today for the payment advice file is what you're referring to, I believe, is using the bot. We also have the payment file extraction using the ML cache application itself. So there it is from a PDF file into the system. So today what we saw in the bot is from Excel file to the S4 system. Yes, but this is also supported, but in ML, machine learning.
Okay, perfect. Earlier in the payment advice demo, so this will probably be for Kamathi as well, the user email ID is linked to the company code, and when the payment is processed, it will be posted to the specific company code. For scenario where one user handles multiple company codes, how the posting will be made to ensure it's posted to the correct company code.
Okay, I think this requires a little bit of customization, but yeah, I'm just trying to visualize in which case it will be applicable. But nevertheless, yes, the present bot can be customized, and in the payment advice config file itself, we can add one more parameter to, of course, there will be a distinguishing factor between the company codes payment advices. We can keep a check at the subject level, or in the company info itself, we can have another parameter that will, differentiate the files from the different company codes. But yeah, this is customizable.
Okay, thank you. All right, just one last one before we wrap this up. Is the bot supports the situation handling while uploading the payment advice and provide a decision-making option to the user? Good question.
Situation handling, of course, is available, but we'll have to get into the details on what exactly is the requirement. But situation handling is pretty much integrated with the accounts receivable and the cash operations. Yes, it should be possible.
Well, you learn something new every day. So I think fantastic presentations on each one of those topics. But yeah, thank you, and we'll stop it there, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.